Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Brew Ha Ha with the hosts Sean McDonald from Cole Street Brewery and Travis Kenny from Full Buddy Cast. In this episode, what you're going to listen to is you're going to hear about Sean's upbringing being a kid on a farm, a teenager on the farm, also looking at home brews, what it looks like between wine versus beer. We're going to hear about Sean's first brew at Cole Street, and then also his worst brew at Cole Street as well. And pro tip pouring of the week, of course. And then we kind of talk about a local softball phenomenon, an all-star, if you will. Anyway, thanks for listening. Make sure you check out Cole Street Brewery on 1627 Cole Street in Enumclaw, Washington. And you get, if you check in, mention Full Buddy Cast, get $1 off your drinks and 15% off your growlers. Everyone, thanks for listening. Have a great day. Making your way in the world today, you really need a pod. Why don't you put your headphones in and give this one a shot? Wouldn't you like to just listen away and go to a place where everybody knows who you are? Listen to two guys brew ha ha. Cole Street Brewery and Full Buddy Cast, two of the greatest names. Why don't you go and listen to this episode? All right, another episode of Brew Ha Ha with Travis Kenny and Sean McDonald, presented by Full Buddy Cast and
Cole Street Brewery.
Absolutely, 1627 Cole Street. You can also check them out at
ColeStreetBrew.com.
You can also hit them up on Instagram at
Cole Street Brew.
And then also Full Buddy Cast. Follow both of our pages, please. Hey, we got sales for you guys. We got deals for you guys. You guys go in there, you take a selfie, you take a picture, you check in with the Cole Street Brewery logo. You mentioned Full Buddy Cast, $1 off VIP treatment.
VIP treatment. $1 off your beer and 15% off your growler for that.
Absolutely. Do it. Do it. And then he's got merch. I've got merch. We'll do a merch day at some point in our lives. We'll figure all this stuff out. But hey, right now, get that $1 off a beer and come and check it out. Tell your friends, support local. That's all. We love Enumclaw.
Keep it local.
Keep it local. Absolutely. So, in this episode, what we're going to talk about is we're going to kind of dive into the background again of Sean, figure out who he is, really get into that, get in that mind of his, bring out some stories, also kind of what it looked like to have his first brew, small brew, regular brew, and then when he started doing his first big brews, and how did that turn out, the failures, the successes of that, and then we've got we'll have a beer pro tip. That we'll have to, I think he's got one already lined up for that. We're going to do a taste test as well. And so right now we're going to do that taste test. Oh, by the way, advertising. Let's advertise real quick. The Mint. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, so we're doing a deal with the Mint on Thursdays. We're doing a burger and a brew. You come into Cole Street and you order your beer, and then you can choose any of the 4 different burgers that the Mint has, and we're a package deal. It's $25.
$25.
Yep. And you order it from me, and then we'll send a run over and grab it when it's ready. And
wow. So they can dine in.
Yep.
Dine in.
One spot.
And then are we talking about what might be coming up to Cole Street, or are we not talking about that? And I can cut this out.
What's
the tents? The tents. Are the tents?
Oh, the tents. Oh, that's yeah. So we're working together with the Rainier right next door. Hopefully by this weekend, it's still tentative, but we're going to throw up a tent. Both the Rainier and I are throwing up 10 by 20 tents attached to each other. Rainier's doing the food, and I'm doing the beer. So you can working together with them.
Get a beer for that, and then Thursdays would be
burger
with Mint.
With the Mint.
Cool.
Yep.
Local, man. You got to support local everywhere you go.
Yep.
Support local. We talked about that last one. We'll talk about this one. Go support local.
Yeah, especially right now after the COVID, everybody's only at 25%. So,
right.
Yeah, we got to find different ways that we can kind of expand and get more money.
Get fun with it. So let me ask you this. I wanted to ask this. Usually when people used to go out, it might be a little different at Cole Street, but you used to go out, you used to take your time, order, have an appetizer, have a beer, eat your dinner, relax, chat it up. Is it better to kind of go in and get out so that someone else can come in and just keep like even for you, are you wanting to, do you like people to kind of be able to hang out and chill, but at the same time you can only have 27 and a half people in your
for me at the tap room at the Courier Herald building, we still got plenty of room. And honestly, with all of our businesses, we're not officially counting. We got our tables and our things spread out as long as we don't get overcrowded. We're trying not to turn people away. We're still trying to get, so you get the same courtesy as you do in the past where you can hang out at a table. Definitely in my space, I still have plenty of room. With the Rainier, they have some waiting time. That's another great thing. You can, rather than waiting outside in the cold, you can come on over to the Courier and just hang out, grab a beer from me.
Right on.
We are 21 and up, so if you're bringing a family, you're going to have to find someplace else.
And if you got a little dog, can you bring a little dog in?
Absolutely. We are dog friendly.
Nice.
We love the dogs.
Good. So we're going to jump right in. We got Sean McDonald, Cole Street Brewery, sitting in your ears right now. But what are we about to sip here? What beer do we got?
This is my Mango Peach Weizen right here. So Weizen, everybody knows about a Hefeweizen. That's a German beer. A Weizen's actually a Belgian beer. And
smells sweet.
It's a fruity one. So Belgian beer, this would be considered like a breakfast beer actually. This is like roll out of your bed, throw it in a glass. It's low ABV. It's only 5%. So it's sessionable. You can drink these all day.
Man, that is good.
Yeah, nice and sweet.
It's like a dessert.
It's not too sweet. I don't want to get people confused on that.
Right. But at the same time, it's a lot sweeter than you would expect, but it's not super sweet.
Yeah. It's like the sweetness is right on the tip of your tongue, right at the front, and then it kind of kicks off, and then you get the beer finish.
So what are you? Are you a sour guy too? Do you like sours?
I'll drink sours. I'll drink any beer. Sours, am I a huge fan? No, but I do drink them.
Yeah.
On the Belgium side, like a Framboos or a Lambics. So there's all different levels of Lambics. A Framboos that I just said is like a raspberry. Those are the original style of sours, but they aren't really a sour beer. They're more of a fruit beer or sweet beer. I'm 100% behind those beers. Those are great beers.
What's your favorite fruit beer?
I would say a Lambic.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is good. This is delicious. This is 5%, you said?
Yep. Easy drinking. Got some head on it.
It's real good. It's real good, and it was poured in a non-frozen glass.
Nice and warm glass.
Decently warm glass.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that this is like British there in Britain where it's like 60-degree beer, but it should be closer to 48, between 48 and 50 degrees. That's the aim.
That's awesome. Let's jump in. Let's jump into the mind of Sean McDonald. Sean, catch us up real quick. I prepped him for some of the stuff, and I didn't prep him for other things. So he might be. It's like playing softball. Oh, yeah. You might be thinking, okay, here comes a nice fastball right down the middle, and it's going to be something you kind of have to dodge out of the way.
Okay.
So, speaking of softball and baseball, were you last time we talked? You weren't a soccer kid. Didn't play soccer. Did you play baseball?
I played baseball a little bit. The problem with that is I grew up on a farm, and baseball is the springtime.
And that's everything else is springtime too.
Yeah, that's doesn't work on the farm.
Right.
I mean, I even ran into that with football. I played football. At the end of summer, the 2-a-days, it was tough because I had to get all my chores done before I got to go to practice, and then in fall, picking, you can pick after dark. Picking fruit, so I got away with that, but yeah.
So
had to pick and choose your sports.
So I want to know about the typical day of being like, when like you said 10? Like when did you first hit the ground running as a kid?
Oh, of doing work?
Doing work on a farm.
Oh, well, so I grew up on a horse farm, so I was cleaning stalls so being the horse farm was from like age of 5 to I don't know, to 9 maybe.
Yeah.
So being lighter, obviously, they test the saddles and that sort of thing with me, like, warming up a horse, and then cleaning stalls when I was, I don't know, 7 or 8. It's funny because the story is, when I turned 12, my old man said, you can either work on the farm or you can pay rent. And I said, well, I'd rather pay rent than work on the farm. The idea is on the farm, it might never end. Like there's always another task. But if I'm paying rent, I actually know how much. So when I was 12, I paid $25 a month. Yeah.
Really?
So I went down the road to the local horse farm and cleaned stalls, $5 a stall. So I only had to do, 5 stalls.
Wow.
And I pay my rent for the month. Then when at 13, it went up another 25. I was paying $50 a month. Of course, at the time, all this money's going into your college fund. Yeah, I never saw a dime of that. Yeah. But
well, they taught you, sometimes you got to learn some hard lessons too, I guess.
Oh yeah,
that's a bummer. But so like typically, when you waking up in the morning, like what time? I mean, like when you think of farms, sometimes you think of kids that are waking up at like 4 or 5 a.m., 5:36.
Yeah, we meet at the coffee pot at like 6. So I mean, honestly, that's not that early.
Well, as a kid, it kind of is.
I don't know.
Maybe not for you. I don't know.
No.
Was that like sleeping in?
There's definitely days where we get up at 4. It depends on where on the farm we had to go. I mean, we worked over 100 acres, so I mean, you have to drive to get to some of the property.
Any weekends off? Like, are you like going
7 days a week?
Yeah, I was gonna say like fishing trips. Like nothing else.
So when I was younger, we had a boat, and what we do is we take. Again, it's all about timing. So we'd go fishing like February through March.
So the cold times, okay?
Because at the end of March you start planting in the greenhouse, and then you got to get it in the ground by April. So it's
So your summer, in a sense, your goof off time was February through March, in a sense. You look forward to those
in the summertime. We got some time off too, because everything grows in the summertime, so you have to do maintenance, you have to do some watering and mowing and that sort of thing,
weeding, and you get
but really the busy time is the springtime, and the busy time is fall. It's harvest, it's the plant, and then the harvest are the two busy times.
So those crisp fall days, do they bring back memories of realizing that you had to work the next 5 hours after school into the dark?
It's I have a funny story on that too. So my old man used to go to farmers markets a lot. Like we go to Seattle Farmers Market, Ballard Farmers Market, like a lot of farmers markets. And every time he's out there, he's always telling these Seattle people, he's like, yeah, we have an open farm. You can come out and visit the farm anytime. I'm the one that's out working on the farm, right? And middle of nowhere, right? And just random people that I have never seen in my life show up, and they're like, hello, we wanted to see what you're doing today. We'd like to help. Well, I don't know who you are or what you know or anything. So it's kind of a joke, but I honestly love working in the rain. Because
no one would show up.
I throw the headphones on, pull the hood over the head, and I don't have to worry about somebody sneaking up on me,
Really?
Nobody's coming around in the rain.
Wow.
Yeah. So I still love that to this day. I love just out in a big downpour. I love that.
Dude, that's awesome. So is there any point where, I'm telling you, in the fall, those spiders get real big? And I'm sure they get in those trees too.
Whatever.
Do they?
I have no fear.
None at all?
No.
Are you the type of guy that if you see a spider, you're taking it outside? Like you're taking it out of the house and taking it outside? 100%, no problem?
Yeah.
Really?
I have no fear of anything like that. I mean, growing up on a farm, you can't. I mean,
no.
I've had rats that are the size of a cat like run across me, and it's like, oh, well, we got to get rid of that. That's the thought. They're doing
I should get
damage.
Rid of that problem.
They're doing damage, but not really scared, more or less. I mean, obviously I don't want to get bit by it, but when I'm not jumping up on top of a chair or something.
Yeah, you're not freaked out by it.
No.
Nothing freaks you out?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Are you
nothing in this state?
Yeah, this state's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, snakes around here, no big deal.
Yeah.
All that.
Pick it up, toss it.
Yeah.
Now, what about heights? Any afraid of heights at all? Is there anything where you what is Sean McDonald afraid of?
So that's a funny story. So I grew up on an orchard, right? So ladders, shoot, I hate ladders, honestly, because it's up and down, moving around, up and down, up and down.
Did you have the ladders with the one peg coming out?
Yeah, we've had those. Yeah. I mean, I've had thousands of different
sorts of ladders.
Yeah. But that being said, I worked in Seattle. I worked in a sheet metal trade for a while, and they pull out an extended ladder, which no big deal. I've done those, but like a 32 or 48 extended ladder, and they stretch it up the side of a building and just lay it on top of the gutter, and then you got to climb straight up and then climb on like over the gutter onto there. Now, I've been on ladders my whole entire life, but I'll tell you what, I do not like that. That whole either way, down or up.
Yeah.
When you're 40 feet up in the air and you're just getting over the top of a gutter. Yeah, I mean, on a ladder that's moving the whole time, like it bends and flexes. Like, I don't like that. And that's part of the reason why I got out of that trade, because I couldn't handle that.
Did you ever take a spill?
Off of a ladder?
Yeah.
Oh, in the orchard? All the time. Like, yeah. Because that's another funny thing. My parents are very vocal about you can't break a limb. So break your limbs, not the tree limbs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah, because I mean that's where we make our money.
Right.
So if you break a tree, you're losing money.
So when what are you loading the apples up in? Like,
so we had I have a bag. You put it over your shoulder
Yeah.
and you kind of wear it on your chest, and then you dump your apples in that. And then once you get pretty full, then we have bins spread out in the rows, and then you go and dump them in the bin, and then get a tractor and pick up the bin.
was there any? I mean, like, what time of the year are you huffing it? Like, is there points where you're like, we got snow coming in, or we got what ruins an orchard?
Wind and when the fruit's really ripe, and then there's a good windstorm, and I don't know, Enumclaw.
Yeah.
There can be some good windstorms.
So-
A good thunderstorm, thunderhead coming in, and you can feel that wind picking up. If it's late in the fall, that's when we got to get that fruit off. Yeah, because otherwise the wind's going to drop it. And that's another funny thing that a lot of people are like, oh, we'll come and get this windfall. Yeah, you can't really use that. Once it hits the ground, one, you can't sell it because it's bruised underneath the skin. When you pick it up, you can't tell it's bruised, but by the time you
get it there and
that whole saying, one bad apple ruins a bin.
Yeah.
That soft spot will spread. It'll just spread to all the apples around it, and it'll have a big soft spot in the middle of the bin.
So were you getting used to just examining with your eyes or feeling it as you're pulling?
I feel it, yeah.
So you're pulling it off
Yeah.
and you're just boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. You don't even, you know that, okay.
I just, yeah.
Are you tossing the ones behind your, like if you pull one off and it's a bad one,
Yep.
just straight to the ground?
Yep.
And then
Drop and go.
Do you leave it there, or do you have to go mow over it or pick it up? Or?
Just leave it there. Later on we'll mow over it, yeah.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay.
Person. Yeah, so we also, we did a lot of berries too. We had tayberries and raspberries, and that's the same thing. It's like just go by feel. You reach into a bush and you can feel the ripe ones, and you're just fingertips and barely touching it. It falls off. You're just dropping it and then drop it in your bin. Yeah,
Wow.
Moving on. So yeah, I'm pretty got good dexterity with my
the
fingers.
fingers.
Yeah.
The fingers. Now, are you, was your first beer that you brewed, was it a cider? Was it a hard cider or no?
Yeah. That's a good question. Blackberry wine, probably the first thing. Because my old man did blackberry wine, so I stole a couple bottles from him in high school. But it got to a point where he knew that I was stealing. So then, here's another tip for anybody that's under 21. You can go to any brew shop and you can buy all of the ingredients to make beer, make wine, no problem.
Really?
Yep. And you just go home and ferment it yourself. So I made a lot of my own wine.
So then, okay, before we get into your first brew on that, did you have friends hitting you up in high school that were like,
oh yeah,
hey dude,
yeah,
could you grab
sneak into the house, sneak into the cellar, go get some wine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did a few times, and yeah, it just, it never benefited me. I always get in trouble in the long run.
Right.
So I stopped doing that, and that's where I started making my own. And when you're in high school, everybody's like, "Oh, this is great." I'm drinking. This is not good at all.
You already have a nice palate already.
Yeah.
A little taste.
I know what's good and what's bad.
That's great. All right, so first beer that you can remember brewing. Then, if you don't remember that, if it was it sounded like it might have been a wine.
Yeah, first wine was a blackberry wine, and then I did a couple ciders later on. Cider's super simple.
So what do you do? What do you do with the berry? Like, how do you do it? Can you give us like a quick rough of?
Yeah. So it's funny. It's kind of a joke. So wine is honestly the simplest thing on earth. You take your berries or your fruit, you crush it up. all things have their own yeast already on them. And sometimes, you could let the natural thing happen. The problem with the natural is it just doesn't make enough alcohol before it gets to a breaking point and turns into vinegar. So that's where you bring in some yeast. Just bring in some outside yeast, some actual wine yeast or hard cider yeast or beer yeast. And you add that in there, and the yeast eats the sugar and shits out alcohol. So
that's really?
Basically it. So yeah, the simplest thing on earth is wine. Honestly, you can take anything that's sweet. You can take like mead, it's honey. Actually, that's probably one of the hardest ones because honey is it fights off any type of disease or germs. So it's one of the hardest things, but one of the simplest things too.
Huh, interesting.
But you take anything sweet and then you throw that yeast in there and it can create it. So wine, again, this is coming from a brewer, but I was in the wine industry for a while. But wine is more artsy fartsy. You kind of you're blending stuff to make it kind of artsy.
Right.
When it comes to beer, you're taking grains and you're having to raise that temperature on the grain to kind of break down and turn that into sugar. So it's there's a lot more math and a lot more science to beer versus simply just science to wine.
Wow.
And then you go one step further when you start distilling spirits, then you have a lot more math involved because you have to be a little more cautious on what you're doing. But it's just one.
So are you
further.
sitting there like they have those gifs of like what's the guy's name from? Is it from Hangover? Or those gifs of the Beautiful Mind, like equations flying through your head and this and that. Like, is that you when you're trying to like figure out the formula?
It is kind of funny because I've had friends come and help me, and I tell them to go do something. I'm like, well, just do just times up 2, 3, 4, and then put it in. They're like, well, how do you know that's the number? I've been homebrewing, and I'm like, trust me, I know that's the number. Like I've been doing this long enough. Like it's just
You just know.
Just do it. It's right. That's definitely running through the head. That being said, anytime somebody wants to sit down and actually learn it, I can do it the longhand way and show you how to add it up and figure it out. But it is just funny that way.
Huh. Are you so you're Big Brew? So when you transition into you put the 20 grand in or whatever, you're sitting there ready to start real Cole Street Brewing.
Yep.
How did the first batch go?
So actually, we did 8 batches of our brown. A lot of people love our brown. That's because we went through, when we first did it, we did 8 different batches of just the brown.
What's just the brown? What does brown mean?
Brown ale.
Okay.
So it's a type of beer.
Okay.
So we did 8 different batches of the same exact beer, 8 times in a row. Reason being is we'd never used that equipment before. So we're scaling up from home brewing. And we're just trying to change one little thing at a time and see what it does to affect the beer.
Wow.
That way we have just a long line and we figure out, okay, this did that and this did that. And then,
right.
Yeah. And then that's how and then once you have that dialed in, it doesn't matter what other beer you do. It's they're all kind of the same concept where, you just take that same thing that you learned and just approach to the other beer.
So do you still make the brown ale?
Absolutely. It's one of our popular ones.
Are you able to do this probably in your sleep?
Yeah, that's why I do, I do my summer short series, and I always try and, right now I'm kind of behind, but I normally do 1 new beer a week. And a lot of times it's like a one-off, like it's here this time of year and it won't be back until next year, or it may never be back. That's to kind of keep me having fun, because otherwise, all of these beers that I've done over and over, I can do it sleepwalking, and half the time I do, I'm doing it in the middle of the night, I work the tap room and then I go and brew and take a nap and get up,
So how long does it take to go from start to finish when you start brewing and then now you're ready to start pouring?
Yeah.
How long does that take?
So when I had the other tap room, I'd start at 2 a.m. and be done by 2 p.m. That's why my opening time was 2 p.m. It was 2 to 2.
So you could brew something that you're going to drink later that day?
No.
Okay, there we go.
It takes 2 weeks to ferment it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
so the brewing process takes 12 hours of setup and cleanup to brew it, and then you put it in a fermenter, and it depends on whether it's a lager or an ale. Lager takes 3 weeks in the fermenter. An ale takes 2 weeks in the fermenter. The other difference between an ale and a lager is after 2 weeks in the fermenter, you can literally put that ale right on tap and it's ready to go. With lagers, you have to put it in a keg and lager it, which is, in the olden days, it was in a dark cave and really cold cave. And then nowadays, it's in your fridge. And each lager is different. So a Pilsner, you have to sit a Pilsner for another 2 months. If you're talking like a Doppelbock, my Doppelbock, it took like 9 months in the fridge. And the way you know is you kind of sample it like every couple days or every week. And it's like a light switch. Like when it's ready,
you know,
bam. Oh, you're like, oh, that is way different than it was last week. And then you know, yep.
Wow.
But the advantage of a lager, and that's why I have quite a few on right now, going into COVID, obviously my beer wasn't moving very fast.
Sure.
So I transitioned to doing more lagers because lagers last longer.
Okay. Because
it takes longer to make them. But on the flip side, also like keeping them in my fridge, they can last a lot longer too because they like being cold. They stay cold. Okay. And ale is a warm beer in beer sense, and it needs to be drank fast. It needs to be drank fresh. So yeah.
So what did you what did you learn? Like, did you ever have a bad batch? Did you ever have something that I just toss out? Like
in home brewing, I definitely had a bad batch. Many bad batches in home brewing, hundreds of bad batches. We did have one bad batch that some of our locals remember. We tried to put a little spin on it. It didn't really work. I do blame my ex-business partner on this, Eric. So Eric and I, when we were partners, we used to switch hit. So I'd brew a beer, he'd brew the next beer, on and off, on and off.
Right.
But there was a spell where he took a vacation, and then he was kind of out of it. So he hadn't brewed for about 2 months. And he came back, he's like, oh, I'm going to brew this beer. And it was actually a double IPA, which double IPA is twice as many ingredients, twice as much alcohol.
Is that what I had the other day was the double?
Yep.
Okay, keep going.
Delicious
by the way.
So in doing a double, you boil it down a little bit more to condense it, and that's how you get the higher alcohol too.
Yeah.
Well, in doing that, you need to... we have a pipe on the bottom of our boil kettle, and you need to, in the middle of the batch, you need to clear that pipe. You need to make sure there's no grain or there's nothing in there.
Does it clog up?
It gets just stuff just settles down in there.
Yeah.
And with that longer burn, it will burn to that pipe and it'll stick in there, right? So he forgot about that just because he was out of practice. It's just out of practice.
Right.
And unfortunately, then he transferred it, and so when you transfer it, you don't notice anything. Yeah, absolutely nothing. And then you put it in the fermenter and you throw the yeast and wait 2 weeks, and then you notice something. So then it was really smoky.
So you don't really know until...
You don't know.
So it's a smoky taste.
Yeah.
Huh? Interesting.
So, and it was funny because it was the same time that there was a big bad forest fire. So the whole town, it was smoky around.
Yeah.
So we tried to play a twist on it saying, it's for the firefighters sort of thing. It didn't work.
No.
We did end up having to dump that one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we made like 8 barrels of it, and I think we only served maybe 1 barrel of it, and
the rest of it was gone.
Yeah, we had to dump it. Yeah, it was way too smoky.
At least it's one of those things. Hey, you make a mistake every once in a while. Like you're just gonna do it.
Oh yeah.
It just and hopefully you can pass off and it wasn't.
Most of the time it's happy accidents.
Right.
The Bob Ross or
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's happy accidents. I have had several beers. I've made session IPAs in that way. Like I forgot. Like when it came out, I'm like, man, why isn't there that much alcohol? Oh shoot, I forgot a bag of grain or 2 bags of grain.
Oh.
Yeah. And like, well, let's try it. It tastes good.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the alcohol. Whatever. We'll just call it a session beer. Like,
there you
roll
go.
with it.
Yeah, and I like it. Did you ever have anything that was just like you're like, I'm never gonna brew?
Yeah. So
like this again. This is too good.
Oh,
it was
too good.
Yeah, like it was just like this is amazing. We'll talk about.
Yeah. How to?
Well, do you have one where you're like, we're never gonna brew this again?
Yeah. So I did the summer
in a bad way. In a bad way.
So not in a real bad way.
Right.
It tasted great. But I did a summer short series where I make, it's a 10-gallon batch, so it's really quick. I put it on Sunday. I'm normally out by like Wednesday, Thursday. But I'm trying different flavors. I'm trying different things. Palm nut. Have you ever heard of palm nut?
No.
It's like in everything. It's if you look at the labels on half a dozen different things, it's just in everything, right? So I'm like, well, it's in everything. Why don't I just try and put it in a beer? Tasted great, except it left a film in the glass. It's like kind of like a little oil film on every single glass. It did that on all the pipes. It did that on all the kegs and on the fermenter. And I'm like, oh, shoot, that's not good. Yeah, it took quite a bit of cleaning on the fermenters. Luckily, with stainless, it came off the stainless and the aluminum. But anything that wasn't stainless or aluminum, it would not come off. I had to throw away glasses because it just wouldn't come off. It just left the film. Tasted fine. Tasted great.
But it was just...
But I'm never using that again because it just ruins way too much stuff.
Too much work.
Too much work.
Too much work. Did you ever watch Breaking Bad?
Yep.
Did you ever feel like when they were cooking meth and they had that place and this and that, and where you're like, yeah, this actually shows, like, probably everyone's thinking, oh, you just mix some things here and then that's it. And you move on with your life. You know, you're cleaning, you're prepping,
Yeah. I actually, a different show, the Moonshiners, whatever.
I haven't seen that.
Okay.
Is it pretty good? Is it like on Netflix or Hulu or something out there?
I'm not sure where
it's called Moonshiners.
Yeah. I've different aspect. I think that it shows too much in the wrong way. It shows the guys right after they get it off the still. The first thing they do is stick their fingers in it, put it in their mouth. That's honestly like one of the most dangerous things to do because the first stuff coming out is poisonous. It can make you go blind and all that sort of thing. So I feel like a lot of people see that show and they're like, oh, and on there it shows diagrams of making stills and it goes, oh, it's so simple. You just take bags of corn and pour it in here and grab some bags of sugar and mix it up and boom, there you go. Yeah. No, it's not that simple.
Yeah.
It's in concept it is, but there's a lot of dangerous stuff that show doesn't show you the dangerous side. So
everything's a lot of work. Like, I think it's like an iceberg. Not everyone sees, like, oh, that was easy. That's cool. That's cool that you do that. Oh, that's super cool. But they don't realize, like, even for when I produce a podcast, you know, you saw the kind of behind the scenes of it right now, right? Like, there's some prep and there's going to be some editing afterward that you're not going to see. What do people not see when it comes to brewing?
The cleanliness. Yeah. And any home brewer will tell you that too. Cleanliness is next to godliness. You have to be clean.
Super
clean. Yeah. A lot of people, you know, they underestimate how clean you have to be because the littlest thing could change astronomical stuff. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. That's, I spend, you know, out of the 12 hours, I spend 8 of those 12 hours is just in cleaning.
Really?
Yeah.
Does it ever get tiresome?
It just gets repetitive. You know, you're doing the same thing.
So how do you clean when it comes to large? Like, are you pressure? Like, is it pressure? Like, what do you do that you're just
clean in place? SOP.
What's that? What is that?
It's so in my fermenters, I've kind of welded in like this little spin ball, and then I have a pump, like a pretty powerful water pump, and then I make a solution of detergent, and then I spray that in there, and it's high pressure and spins around and it sprays and it knocks a lot of the stuff off. Then I rinse it and then I go in and then I'll take my brush and then I'll physically get into the fermenters and clean it out. And then take a next step of another detergent and then an acid and then a sanitizer. Yeah.
So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And so then, but let me ask you, I know that you're in it to make money. I get it. It's a business. Is there any satisfaction with someone just taking a swig and going,
oh, yes.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, honestly, I have more satisfaction in drinking my own beer.
Oh, do you?
I'm a big beer geek. So, I mean, I love drinking beer.
Well, hold on just a second. I'm about to take a sip.
Plus,
oh, yeah.
I can't complain. I drink beer, I talk beer, I make beer. That's what I do.
Obsession.
Yep, that's my superpower.
I like it. That's what separates some people from others. You have to have that obsession. Yeah. Think about it, dream about it, wake up, think about it, go to bed.
Yeah, you have to have a passion. That's another thing that was overlooked a lot, especially a lot of breweries in Washington State, a lot of breweries in Oregon, but a lot of them, they didn't have the passion for it. You know, they got in thinking, oh yeah, this is a moneymaker. If you don't have the passion, you're not going to make it. You have to have a passion for beer. You have to have
a drive.
Yeah.
Oh, and you have a passion for beer, for the product.
You have to have a quality beer. If you don't have a good beer, you're not going to make it. For sure.
Just life lessons. So here's the thing. we're not going to switch gears, but we're going to move out of this because this will be a constant theme, guys. Like every time we get together, we're going to try and produce these pretty often. We'll talk about the beer of the week coming up. This beer of the week this week this is going to be released is
the Mango Peach Weizen.
The Mango Peach that we're drinking right now.
Yep.
And then we'll be talking about kind of the brew history. We'll talk about Sean's life. Right now we're catching up. We might hit some current events at some point in our lives, but one guy out there in Facebook land, if I post something, like I actually posted something on Full Buddy Cast, and it was just the Cole Street, like Sean and I were just in kind of talks of like, hey, how are we going to do this? What does this look like? And I'm like, hey, dude, can I use your logo and just post it on Full Buddy Cast with those eyes? Like, ooh, what's going on kind of a thing. And then I post it, no joke, 20 seconds later, this dude tags you in it. And I realize you're not even not even in the Full Buddy Cast realm. So I'm like, I got to shoot him an invite real quick so he can see that he's getting tagged in this, and he took it.
And then you just posted it.
I just posted a picture of us. Yeah,
checked in a minute ago, and not even 10 seconds later.
10 seconds later. So he's just
already.
He's waiting. He is waiting by the phone, waiting for us to post something.
Phone's attached to him.
How do you know Johnny White?
Softball, baby.
Softball. He's an amazing softball player.
He is an amazing. He's an amazing dude.
He is a great. He's a great dude. He is an amazing dude. What about softball though? Like, when did you meet him? Like, what was
so as I said before, I'm a pitcher. Johnny White's a pitcher as well. So and he's a high level pitcher, much higher than I was, and he's given me all kinds of great tips on different ways to read the ball, different ways to handle the ball, control the game. That was the main thing. Especially as a young pitcher, you go in there and you're all kind of just nervous and just want to. He was playing on my team, and he was playing second base, and he's like, hey, let's take a minute. He's like, I'm like, what's up, man? And he's like, no, just take a minute. He made me stop, right?
Yeah,
and just for nothing, he didn't really even say anything. He just stopped the game for a minute, let the game come to you.
You're in charge of the pace.
That's
don't get rattled. Don't start just going crazy with it.
It's a great move. Yeah, it was perfect timing on that, and set the tone.
So my wife and him played. That's how I know Johnny. Is they played co-ed in Sumner at the Sumner. What's that?
Behind Fred Meyer there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she lived nearby. In fact, it was like kind of in the backyard, and that's how I know Johnny. And did you ever play co-ed or?
I've played a lot of co-ed. I don't know if I've ever played co-ed with Johnny.
With Johnny, yeah. Do you still play?
I don't still play.
You retired. That's right.
This last year I played like 2 leagues, but the year before that, so 2018.
Yeah.
The only day I didn't play was Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I played a lot.
So you were full on.
Yep.
Brewing.
Yep.
Working.
Yep.
Softball.
Yep.
Do you still? Well, I don't. The farm isn't even.
I'm not the farm. No, I'm way past
that. So you're not helping out. You're not doing anything. You're done.
No, yeah, that's that moved on. My cousins have the farm now.
Cool.
So they take care.
So
of that.
they take care of that. They're the ones out there late. Yeah. And what? So currently, when you wrap things up at Cole Street, you're going to bed.
I'm going to bed. I go home. Well, there's no bars open.
Pre-COVID, you would kind of go.
I go bar hop.
Drink local, hang out local.
Yeah, see some of my friends that are in the service industry. We all have beers together.
Cole Street Brewery. Are you in any bars around town?
Absolutely. Every one of the restaurants we're in. So the Mint, the Rainier, Griffin and Wells. Shout out Griffin Wells, great place.
Yeah.
Amy, love her. Yeah. Any of the restaurants in town, the Italian place, it's kind of hit or miss if we're on there or not. They really don't move through beer very quick.
Sure,
they're more of a wine place,
right?
But everywhere else we're on tap. All the restaurants, yeah.
And so that's awesome. And is it like the beer of the week that they have, or what do they typically have there?
It depends.
Just it rotates.
It depends on what other beers they have. So they're trying to do a balance on their side.
Right.
Don't want to have too many IPAs, too many darks.
They want variety. They want selection.
Yeah. So
okay. So you're off work pre-COVID. You're bar hopping, hanging out with your friends.
Yep.
Getting home around midnight ish.
Yeah, 11:30 midnight. Yeah.
Then
get up at 2.
Get up at 2. Shut up. No,
Get up at 2.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I get up at 2. But in brewing, the first step is you got to boil water. And have you ever watched water boil? It takes a while.
Takes a while.
So I take a nap.
Okay, so you wake up.
Mm-hmm.
That's like kind of like having a kid. That's like kind of having something going on. You got to kind of like get up in the middle and do something.
Yeah.
But then go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So it's boiling. How long does it take to boil?
It depends, but about an hour and a half.
So you sleep for like another hour and a half.
Yeah. So
you wake up
3:34. Yeah.
Then you're pouring stuff in, getting the mix going.
Yep. And then I take another nap. That's only a 45-minute nap.
So you never like, when do you ever have like a solid 6 to 8 hours of sleep? How long ago was that?
Oh, I don't know. But pre having a business. Because I mean, no matter when it is, I there's always something on my mind like, oh shoot, I got to do that ad. Oh shoot, I gotta.
And then you're awake.
Yeah.
You might as well get up and do it, or else you're not going to go back to sleep.
Exactly.
I got the same thing with the podcast, where I'm just like, I got this thing turning in my head, like, oh crap, and I realize I might as well get up.
That's another thing. Reason why I get up at 2 a.m. to brew is one, like I can't, at a certain point I'm like, oh shoot, I got to brew today. I'm already awake. I might as well just go do it. But then on the second side is it's a little easier to do it when nobody else is around, because everyone wants to have a conversation.
Right.
I love beer. I love brewing. I love helping other brewers. If you're a home brewer, I can help you out. I've done that. We've done like a home brew competition. And then, we kind of judge it. And if you win, you come in and we brew it on our system. And then I'll put it on tap at my place and then up at Phil's, Phil's. And so I'm always open to that. But the problem is, like, it's just, it gets in the way when you're trying to do your job and somebody's back there and they want to chat about something that's completely, that's in the same realm. But it depends on how versed they are. If they actually know what they're talking about, no big deal. But if they're kind of missing some of the stuff, then it's like it's hard to explain while I'm trying to do something. So it's easier to just get it done before the
crowd
the public
hits and
there.
people start talking.
Especially at my
someone's like, "Hey, you want to do a podcast?" And you're like, "Okay, I got this to do." Hey, so let's talk about this podcast real quick. That guy?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the current brewery doesn't have, it's not sectioned off. My plan was to bring the smaller equipment downtown at the Courier building, but I would actually build a wall off of it, so then you can look through the glass and like I'm a monkey in a cage. You can watch me, but you can't really interrupt me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I just like picturing you as a monkey in the cage.
Sure.
So they can watch you clean. They can watch you brew.
Yeah.
So at 2 a.m., if I am super excited, I can.
If you schedule it ahead of time and I know you're coming, I'm all for it. It's the people that show up.
I just want to watch you like
randomly
wake up and start the boilers, and then. So I'm just kidding.
That's just turning on a burner. I mean,
do you wait? Now let me ask you this: do you live nearby your?
Of course.
Do you live in?
Enumclaw,
Do you live?
I don't live in the brewery. No.
See, that's one thing that's kind of different because here you've got to actually wake up, get in your car. Drive
or my bicycle.
Or your bicycle.
I used to have a scooter, and then somebody stole my stupid scooter. But
they stole it. Like, wait, was it one with an engine, or was it like
a
Vespa kind of a thing?
Electric scooter, yeah. Yeah,
they just stole it.
Yeah, it was in the bed of my truck. Like the only time it ever been, I put it in the bed of my truck, and then went in the house. And then I had dinner and kind of just crashed out on the couch and came out to go to work, and it was gone. Yeah, unfortunate, but
sorry.
Yeah.
It's another story.
Yeah.
Hey, if any of you guys are listening and you guys got that scooter, return it. Return it. So, real quick before we head out, we shout out to Holly and shout out to Eric and Kellen Hall and we'll talk about Edred. It sounds like you guys got some stories, but we'll talk about that another time. Shout out to Joey. Shout out to everybody out there. Rachel Heater, Justin Heater. Anyone who supports, thank you for supporting. Thank you for supporting Cole Street Brewery. So thanks for supporting the podcast on that. Real quick before we go, pro tip. You got a pro tip?
Fill in your glass of beer.
The perfect pour?
Perfect pour.
Go for it.
Yeah, so everybody's been to a kegger and everybody's, grabbed that tap.
Right.
That's the start of it. That's the proper start where you tilt the glass and you fill it on the side.
Right.
The finish, though, is you move that right to the middle. So it's dropping right in the middle of the glass. So your last little 10% of the glass. You want it to drop right in the middle so it creates a little splash and it will create a nice little head that opens up the head, and that cuts down on your burps because then it's nice and open, and then you get a nice smell, aroma of what you're drinking.
So if you're getting your nice IPA, and how thick of a head are you looking for? Are you looking for like
good inch?
A good inch. Okay.
So if you have a bottled beer, this is a great test.
Okay.
If you have a bottled beer and you pop the cap,
yeah,
you should have a head that you can take that cap and you can flip it upside down and drop it right on the top, and it won't sink and fall into the beer. It'll sit right on the top of the head. That means you have a perfect head. And that's a perfect pour.
So it's holding up that bottle cap.
Yep. Now don't let it sit there for too long because the head does dissipate.
Will at some point, but right off the bat, it should just be floating right up on there.
Like it's on a cloud.
That's good.
Perfect pour.
Do you do that?
Sure.
Is it like a habit? Does it become a habit when you start to...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Hey, what's the thing? I remember hearing this in high school. I don't know if it's a real actual thing. Sometimes you get too much of a head. And you're like, I saw some people like wiping like their oils on their skin or something like that and touching it in there. It kind of eats away at that.
It does.
Is that true?
Yep.
I don't know if that was... Because every time I do it, it's like, doesn't really work too well. But maybe I'm just not sweaty enough.
Yeah, maybe.
Need a good workout.
It definitely works, yep. I've used it before. Now, there's another little trick that I've read in books, but I've never been able to do. They say with a lager, you can take peanuts and you drop it in and it'll dance around.
Really?
I've tried it 100 times.
Kind of popping around in there? Yeah, I was going to say.
So I don't know if it's a true story. I've read it a dozen times, but I've never been able to do it. So
I wonder if you drop it in there, or what if you kept it in there to start out? I wonder if it pops out. Interesting. I'll try that. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for another Brew Ha Ha with Sean McDonald and Travis Kenny. Appreciate you guys. Hey, I want you guys now not only to support Cole Street Brewery and go check that out, but please do that. Pretty please take pictures. I want to show Sean that we got those loyal listeners that are willing to do anything, and they're willing to take pictures. They're willing to go buy beer. They get that $1 off, or 15% off a growler. But also send us your questions. If you have any brewing questions, if you have any farming questions, I guess, if you have anything that Sean as softball, anything, Johnny White questions, anything in the world that you want to ask us, we'll even answer the weird questions. Should I marry this guy? Should I, should I buy this house in this economy right now?
I'd say drink a beer on it.
That's a good, you know what? That'd be a good segment that no matter what what they ask,
you drink a beer on it.
That's perfect. All right, everyone, hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram, and come visit us. And hey, down the road, we might be doing some live podding over at Cole Street. We'll get those dates out to you guys. So if you guys are interested in joining a live recording, maybe even have you on there, have a beer, and again, check in, get that $1 off while you're hanging out as well. So everyone, thanks so much for checking it out, listening to the podcast, and have a great day.
Cheers.
Cheers.